Hey everybody, I'm Alex McClellan.
And I'm Mason McClellan.
And we're the Backtrack Brothers. Typically we go back and watch older movies and talk about how they hold up, but today we are going to be talking about our top 5 most anticipated movies of 2023 for each of us.
So instead of looking back at the past, now we're looking to the future and seeing what movies have been confirmed to come out, have trailers released, and that are coming out in 2023 that we think are really interesting.
Yeah, and this is not an all-encompassing list. I think I originally had like 15 to 20 movies that I wanted to talk about, but we each narrowed it down to 5 each. Might be a little bit of overlap. We don't know what each other's lists are going into this, but let's go ahead and see what we have.
Yeah.
So to get started, Mason, how about you kick us off with your number 5 movie?
All right, cool. So for number 5, and we did do a trailer reaction on this, so check it out, but it is Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer, nice. And that is on my list, and it actually is my number 1, to be honest. Yeah.
All right, so then you talk about it.
Yeah, I would love to talk about it, because the fact you have a number 5, I can only imagine the amazing films you have ahead of this. Yeah, so Oppenheimer, it's my number 1 movie. We didn't mean to lead off with the number 1, but here we go. So the reason I love it, it's gonna be the perfect summer blockbuster. This is coming out in mid to late July. It's starring Cillian Murphy, Florence Pugh, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., Rami Malek. Just an insane lineup of actors, all being led by the incredible Christopher Nolan. Who you know from, Dark Knight, Inception, Tenet, all types of timeless, great movies that have come out since the 2000s. And, I just think this is an amazing collection of talent, and on top of it, I think it's a very captivating story. We're talking about Oppenheimer, who is the creator of the nuclear bomb that was dropped during World War II, and it's gonna be, I imagine, a biopic about him and people involved. If you know Christopher Nolan, he's gonna play with time in some element. I'm interested to see how that works out, but it's gonna be a very stylish and fast-paced movie for what I think people would expect a biopic about a scientist would be. So I'm really interested to see this. I think this is a movie you have to see in theaters, you have to see in IMAX, just like all of Nolan's other movies. So I just think this is like the most anticipated theater-going experience of 2023 for me. So I'm interested to hear why it's your number 5 and maybe why it's not your number 1.
So I might move it up, or in my head, like after everything you said.
I made good points. I made good points.
You did. I didn't know Matt Damon and Robert Downey Jr. written this, so that definitely might boost it up. After seeing Red Eye, I definitely know how talented Cillian Murphy is. So again, might boost up a few because of that. But personally, I just don't like historical movies.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying.
So I don't know how interesting this will be to me. But definitely.
I'm hoping this is a movie that will change your thought process on that. Maybe you'll see this and be like, okay, with a good enough director that makes it interesting enough, maybe and good enough acting performances, maybe you will be into historical movies, So we'll see. That's a really good movie to kick this off, Next up, we're gonna talk about my number 5 movie. You ready, Mason?
I am ready.
All right, so the movie that I want to talk about for my number 5, it's called The Killer.
The Killer.
It's coming out on Netflix. It's starring... What? No, Netflix does put out some good movies. It's not, it's not what it used to be 5 years ago, where everything they pumped out was absolute garbage. They actually put out some decent, some decent stuff, like, The Irishman. There's other things like that Netflix they would produce. So, The Killer, it is by David Fincher, who has done movies like Seven and Social Network, Fight Club, like Zodiac, just really good, stylish, also long-form movies. He's very dark, eerie, like he's just an amazing filmmaker in my eyes. And what this movie is, The Killer, it's based on a French graphic novel about an assassin. So that's right up David Fincher's alley. He also directed Mindhunter, that TV series?
I do not.
So that's another Netflix TV series, amazing. So he just always is kind of like in that death world somehow, and this is, I think, is gonna be right up his alley, and it's starring Michael Fassbender, who, if you know him, I think he is a crazily underrated actor. I think, so he was young Magneto in all the X-Men movies, like X-Men First Class and going forward from there, and they, weren't great movies as time went on, but I think his acting performance is incredible. And then, if you've seen him in Inglourious Bastards, he's only in a few scenes, but he steals the friggin' show. And then Prometheus, he is amazing in that movie. So just want to toss it out there. I think he's totally underrated. I think David Fincher is seeing this. I think this movie might make him a star. Cool. And I think it could launch him into the next stage of his career because he doesn't have a ton of movies where he's like been the star. So there's no actual release date for this yet. And they did, I believe, finish shooting already. It was actually shot in France and in New Orleans and stuff. So it's actually on site. I'm expecting it to look pretty cool. You know, David Fincher, like I said. So I'm super excited about this movie. Does this sound like something you'd be into?
It sounds appealing. I think I want to check it out.
Yeah, I don't know a ton of details. That's honestly why it's at number 5. If I got more information of like, you know, maybe more people in it and more of the plot and kind of what's going on, maybe it would have moved up on my list, but it's one I'm definitely keeping my eye on. And the fact this guy's come out on Netflix means it's easily accessible. I'm not gonna, you know, I have to make a whole night out of it. I can just pop it on when it comes out, you know? Next up, we're gonna be talking Mason's number 4 movie.
Yes.
Mason, let's do it. Number 4.
So this is another trailer we react to. I don't know if it's out by now, but if so, look forward to it. 65.
65, it's not out yet, but yes, we did do the trailer for that. So, I don't know if it's out yet, but hopefully it will be soon.
Look forward to it. But it is with Adam Driver, who I think is just a badass actor. Seems like a really cool concept with some really neat visuals. It seems like just a better Jurassic Park in my eyes. I don't know if I like the whole theme park aspect, maybe in the first movie, but as in Jurassic World and just as ones went on, I don't know if I liked it as much. So I like this new spin on, you know, something from the future, going back in time. And yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes.
So we're just kind of tie up. If you haven't seen the trailer, you have no idea what the hell Mason's talking about. So I'm only trying to help you out. So Adam Driver lands on this planet, and it turns out that it is Earth from 65 million years ago. That's where the title 65 comes from. So, but he has all futuristic tech and all that type of stuff. So it's a future soldier that's going to be in extremely past Earth fighting dinosaurs. So, you know, it's pretty cool meshing of future and past, you know. I almost think kind of like Cowboys and Aliens. You ever hear of that movie?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, and I think there's mixed reviews on that. I thought that was a cool mixing of like old and new, you know, mixing the sci-fi with a Western. And it seems like they're kind of doing something similar just with sci-fi and dinosaurs. So my number 4 is Knock at the Cabin, which is the new M. Night Shyamalan film. We do have a trailer reaction out for this already where, you know I got excited. I'm a big Shyamalan Ding Dong fan, and I think that all of his movies, you know, even if you don't agree with their, you know, that their endings are always effective, I can definitely understand, you know, some people have qualms with how certain movies like The Village ended, even though I still love that movie. I get it. But you have to admit, his movies are a thrill ride. At least for the first, you know, 3/4 of it, or 4/5 of it, you're gonna like it. So I'm really excited to, you know, I think they're great theater movies. You go with a friend and you're like, oh shit, like, you know, that type of thing. And so I always just think these types of movies are a good, fun experience. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. What do you think about that?
This is my number 1.
Really? Number 1? Oh yeah, I should have let you kind of go for it a little bit. So yeah, so Mason's number 1, Knock at the Cabin.
I mean, you basically said everything. Like I said, I'm like, Shyamalan movie. I know a lot of his other movies are just really unique and fascinating to watch. And I just love movies that kind of give you a unique experience. This seems like a thrilling ride. I don't know if you've seen the second trailer, but that has even got me more convinced.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Ooh, I gotta check it out now.
It puts a lot more of like the horror aspect into it, and certain things that the family does to, you know, the decisions based on the people coming in the cabin. Yeah, I don't know. It seems just very interesting to me.
I almost don't want to watch the second trailer because M. Night Shyamalan movies. No, seriously, M. Night Shyamalan movies. They're the best when you know nothing going into it. Kind of like how I told you to watch Red Eye the other day, and knowing nothing about it definitely made it more exciting than if you knew what the twists were going into it. You know.
So maybe don't watch the second trailer and just run away.
Yeah, and it's coming out February 3rd, so we don't have to wait too much longer for it. So yeah, I'm sure we might even do a video maybe reviewing it. Maybe we'll see it in theaters. That'd be fun. Yeah.
My number 3 for movies coming out in 2023 is Across the Spider-Verse.
Across the Spider-Verse, okay,
so
cool.
It's the second in the whole like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse thing. I love the first movie. I think it made my top 10 favorite movies of all time.
I think it did, yeah. You can check out the old video that we did about that.
Yes, but I loved it. I thought it was really unique. I think the best Sony Pictures animated movie. And the second one looks very promising so far.
I was gonna say it's a high bar to hit. You know what I mean? When you have a really successful movie, and it came out a while ago at this point, didn't it?
2018.
So yeah, a few years. So I guess it's not too far off for a sequel. It's a good 5 or 6 years, but I'm hoping that means they put a lot of time and energy. I mean, it's a lot of animation, man. I imagine it takes a lot of work to make that kind of film.
I mean, but they confirmed that and did like a little leak for the second movie in the end credits of the first one. And again, that was 5 or 6 years ago. So having this now, it does seem like they put a lot of energy and time into it. It's not just a cash grab.
Thank
and again,
God.
the trailers look really promising, and there's some fan service, but again, like,
I think it's the MCU. Now to my number 3, we're gonna talk about a little movie called Killers of the Flower Moon.
Never heard of it.
And I know that might sound like a romantic getaway with starring Matthew McConaughey and some blonde woman, but it's not. This movie is actually, it's based on a book that came out back in 2017, 2018. And this is actually a movie directed by Martin Scorsese, who did Goodfellas and Taxi Driver and The Departed, like does all those great crime epics. And, you know, he's kind of putting together a few classic actors here. We're just talking about Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro, you know, pairing them together for the first time. They've both worked extensively with Scorsese independently. This is the first time they're gonna be on screen together. Super excited about that. I thought The Irishman was good. I didn't think it was spectacular, which was his most recent film. I'm really hoping this is the one that takes it to the next level. I'm really excited to check it out. His track record is just so great. He might be losing his fastball a little bit. He's, you know, he's getting older, but who knows? Maybe this is gonna be the one where he's just like puts it down and says, you know, puts his dick on the table and says, measure it, you know?
Yeah, it's a good expression.
You ever done that?
No.
Good. So.
It does seem like it has a very stacked cast though, and I will be excited to see this.
Oh yeah, and I still have to get you caught up on all of the classic Scorsese films. It would make you appreciate and anticipate this one even more. The one downside of this movie is only being released on Apple Plus, which is like, come on, dude. Nobody. You picked the most obscure service. Next out, it's coming on was that Pluto TV or what the hell that is? Mason coming now with his number 2.
My number 2 is going to be Dune Part 2.
Ooh, that's my number 2.
Cool.
We both have Dune Part 2 as number 2 on our list. Cool.
So, I guess,
Brute?
Yeah, so there's not too much about, you know, the movie that we know yet. But we know it is set to come out in 2023.
It is.
And yeah, I loved the first one. Thought it was really impressively looking, and I thought it was a cool story. And again, the second one, I'm really excited.
I was so impressed. I really just thought it was going to be like a Star Wars knockoff. You know, I heard the old Dune movie was very dragged out and long and basic, and I was kind of worried. But I tossed this on HBO Max in my home, and I absolutely fell in love with it.
I saw it in theaters. Imagine the visuals in theaters.
That's one of my biggest notes I have in here is I made the mistake last time not seeing it in theaters. I will be seeing this in theaters. This is one that we should go see.
Yeah, I saw it 3 times in theaters. I went back 2 times.
Good. That's right. Give your money to the movie industrial complex. They need it. No, seriously. So, no, but that's awesome. And I really am going to heavily advocate everyone, please go out and see this movie in theaters. If you haven't seen the first one, please go watch it. It's awesome. I would describe it as a higher level Star Wars, where you actually have to put things kind of together yourself instead of having things spelled out and following the same rhythmic beats that you're used to for the last 50 years.
So it's like Disney it's like Star Wars if it wasn't owned by Disney.
Yeah, it's something, there's just not as much dialogue, you know what I mean? It's a lot more feeling and, you know, kind of putting things together. And, you know, I really enjoyed how that movie was put together. I'm really excited to see how they land it. You know, hopefully they don't botch it, but I don't really know how you could. You know, I think it's very enticing. Hopefully it delivers as we're all expecting, you know?
Yeah, and again, like each screenshot or each visual of this movie could be a wallpaper.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like, I'm just excited to see if they take any leaps in the second movie with the visuals or just what they do, because that was what brought me into it, and I came out with more than that.
Oh yeah, well I will say, if anyone just came in expecting just to have a visual masterpiece, you got that, but you also got a deep story and good characters and well-performed acting. I really am a big fan of the first Dune movie, so super excited for the second one.
Yeah.
And for number 1, we each already talked about our number 1s. Actually, my number 1 was Oppenheimer, which Mason had at number 5, below things like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And
don't disrespect Spider-Man.
It's not a judgment by any means. That is a fact that I just put out there.
Okay.
That's all that is. Take it as you will. Hey, if the boot fits, you know. Your number 1. What was your number 1?
Knock at the Cabin.
Oh yeah, your number 1 was Knock at the Cabin, which I had at number 4 of my list. So so I like we had a little bit of overlap. We also had our differences. You know, if you kind of looked at your list, do you have any kind of like themes or anything you noticed looking at your movies? I think you got a little bit of a spread going.
Yeah, I think I have a pretty decent spread. I think the main thing is that Oppenheimer would be higher if I saw Red Eye earlier, and I did more research.
Yeah.
And also if I like historical movies more.
Right.
But other than that, I'm proud of my list. I think that it's pretty.
Yeah. I think your list is pretty good. We'll have a little like text list of it here, but why don't you go ahead and go through 1 through 5?
Yeah, cool. So my number 5 is Oppenheimer. Number 4 is 65. Number 3 is Across the Spider-Verse. Number 2 is Dune Part 2. And number 1 is Knock at the Cabin.
Nice. And that's a pretty respectable list. I really enjoy that. Yeah. Well, one thing I really noticed about my list, I'll go 1 through 5 real quick to go through mine. Number 5 is The Killer. Number 4, Knock at the Cabin. Number 3, Killers of the Flower Moon. Once again, not a romantic comedy. Sorry, Matthew McConaughey. Number 2, Dune Part 2. And then number 1 is Oppenheimer. When I went through my list, I just realized all of mine were by filmmakers that I really love, except for Dune Part 2, just because I don't know the director. I think it's his last name Villeneuve or something. I don't know him that well. Like I said, I really love the first movie. I just don't know his work that much. But, you know, Oppenheimer's Christopher Nolan, Killers of the Flower Moon, Scorsese, Knock at the Cabin is Shyamalan Ding Dong, and then The Killer is David Fincher. So those are like 4 of my favorite directors. They're all putting a movie out this year, so obviously they got bumped to the top of my list. I have a whole bunch of other movies that I'm really excited about. Maybe we'll find some other avenues to discuss them. Maybe going into the second half of the year, maybe we can do something like this again, you know, because movies get moved up, movies get moved back. Like I said, The Killer, for example, doesn't have a release date. They're done filming, but they might push it back another year. You never know, you know? So yeah, any final notes you want to put out there?
No.
Cool. Happy New Year. Looking forward to big things in 2023. Thank you for all the support. Love you guys. Thanks for checking out this video.
Like and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about the movie in the comments below.
Let us know if there's any movies you want us to watch. Who knows? Maybe we'll watch them together.